Path Magazine, we are live at the 2009 Radio One Love Cruise. I'm AV from the Yolanda Adams Morning Show, and my special guest, pastor, artist, just an excellent man of God, Jason Nelson, who just so happens to be the twin brother of Jonathan Nelson. For my name is Victory, but man, you are a powerful artist, man.
Thank you, sir.
And you blessed me last night here on the cruise and just ministering. What's the name of the project?
The name of the project is Place of Worship.
Place of Worship, independent artist.
Independent artist.
Now, that's a good
sir.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great.
It's great. Not tied to any label.
Place.
Yeah. But tell us a little bit about you. I know you've been pastoring for 2 years now. So just tell us a little about you, the ministry, and even your pastorship, and then about the music side of you.
Okay. Well, I've been in ministry for about, well, I don't know how many years, since I was about 17.
Yeah.
And kind of ran from it for a few years, you know. Pastor's son, kind of lived that whole life.
Yeah.
And once I finally came to the place where I accepted my role, just, you know, got more involved in the church and all of that. And it was around that time that God really started to put in my heart for me to start, you know, looking at being an artist.
Right.
And I actually started off kind of doing more the urban kind of feel.
Okay.
You know, I've always been a follower of like Commission, Dogs and
man.
Dolphins.
Hot.
You know the good groups, the Winans, the real urban, contemporary kind of feel of gospel. And then I did the recording with my brother, Everything You Are, his first record. Yeah. And it sparked a passion in me for praise and worship music. Yeah. And from then, God started to open up my ears, started writing a little bit, and did a couple of guest appearances on a couple of people's albums and things like that. And this passion for singing really just grabbed a hold of me. Hooked up with Donald Lawrence, did his I Speak Life record. And he really started to instill in me the principles that it takes to be a good artist. Yeah,
you know, and it's great to have that, you know, to be mentored by Donald Lawrence. Yeah, because he's one powerful artist, and that just sets you, I mean, think about it. You can take what he knows plus what you learn, and it just takes you to another level. Yeah, absolutely.
And through that, started recording and did live recording, put all our music together. And now we have the project Place of Worship that's in stores.
A Place of Worship. Tell us a little bit about that. Give us a little bit about that title and where did you derive it from?
It happened. I was at a Donald Lawrence concert. Actually, one of his recordings. Wrote this song a few years ago. And at the recording, we were in high worship. I mean, God was just moving in the place. And these words started to come to me. Go and find your place of worship. Yeah. Look into your pain and find your praise. Yeah. Every low place in your life prepares you for your high place. Every tear you cry is water for the garden of your victory. Yeah. And it says, even though you're in the valley, victory comes through your adversity. Go and find your place of worship. And it really, you know, got in my spirit. Yeah. And Marvin Sapp got a hold of it. And he actually recorded it on his record.
Because it's hot. Yeah, that song is hot. I mean, to think about that, when you as an artist, you see your work out across the country, what feeling is that?
I can't even describe how awesome it is that, number one, an artist of his caliber not only enjoys your music, but is actually interested in recording something that you wrote. Yeah. He called me. We were sitting in Outback Steakhouse. Yeah. And he called me and said, "I've been talking to my wife. We got to do this song." I said, "Okay." Yeah.
Cool with that.
Yeah. It's great. And he called me back a couple weeks later and said, "I love Thirsty. You got to do that too." I said, "Okay." Yeah. And you know, the rest is history. Yeah. In writing the title cut to the record Thirsty and Never Would Have Made It, and that record has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, because Thirsty, man, I would play that over and over and over and over in my CD changer, man, because like he said, it's just a place in you, because you know, we understand as ministers that void is in you. Absolutely. That God has placed in you that's going to cry out thirsty for that living well, that connection.
He puts it there on purpose.
Yeah.
He puts it there on purpose.
Yeah, to get you to that place of worship.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Because if there's no hunger for God, then there's no reaching for Him. And that reaching is how you really create the atmosphere of worship that really works to your advantage. Yeah. You know, as relates to God filling the void, and like the psalmist said, in a dry and thirsty land where no water is. Right. And you know, water represents spirit in the word. So when you tell God you're thirsty, it's like, you know what? All that matters right now is just you. Nothing more, nothing less. Is just you.
Especially in this time that we live in, we need to find that place of worship.
Absolutely.
Because you know, the world is speaking to the negative stuff that is going on. It's highlighting the negative, bad economy, housing,
Right,
you know,
right.
our country, you know, in the turmoil that it's in, you know, our military, you know, being spread so abroad across this world. It seems like we're getting weaker as a nation.
Yes,
So you've got to
yes.
find that place of worship so that you can realize that blessed is a nation whose God is Yahweh.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But then the other piece of worship that a lot of people don't necessarily tap into is the fact that when you worship God, you bring Him where you are.
Right.
So even if you are feeling the effects of the recession, or if you're missing your family member that's been gone away, or God forbid that you lost someone because of the war or any kind of negative circumstance, when you bring God and insert God into your situation, it always gets better.
Right.
Even if it doesn't change, you change until it changes. But it's based on your relationship with God and how you worship Him and pull Him to
into
where
your
you
situation.
are. Absolutely.
Yeah, a place of worship, brand new project. Available to you, Pastor Jason Nelson, our special guest on Path Magazine, and just talking about that, man, bringing God to where we are. It's so important because I tell people all the time, we use this excuse that we're waiting on God, but really God is waiting on you.
Absolutely.
Because He's given us dominion and authority in this earth, and we've got to exercise it and allow God to come where we are.
Absolutely.
So that we won't make room or concession even for the enemy.
Right, and He's given us the authority to invoke Him
Right.
with His name.
Right.
And that's the piece when you really understand relationship and why you're here.
Right.
You understand we can call on Him, invoke His presence just by calling on Him. You know, last night the concert with Smokey Norfolk, he was just talking about how when you really call out to Daddy, the right cry, a father can't ignore the right cry.
Right.
You know, there are times when my kids might cry, you know, and my wife will look at each other and go, ain't nothing wrong with them, they just playing. But then there's a certain sound. There's a sound that our kids make, and it makes you stop everything. I don't care if you're cooking, I don't care where you are in the house, where you are in your environment, you're going to stop and find out what's going on with your child. And the same thing goes with God. When we invoke Him with worship, I don't care how bad the situation is, if you invoke Him, you give Him the right cry, He's going to respond.
Yeah, He's going to show up. We got to leave it right there, but man, I could talk to you all day, actually. And I'm thankful for the gift that God has invested in you and the ministry that's in you that's going to bless so many people, man. It has already, you know, even what you're writing, but now it's good that you get a chance to be on the scene and people get a chance to see you and what God is doing in your life. CD is available. Website jnelsononline.com. You can also reach me on MySpace /jnelsononline and Facebook /jnelsononline.
Stay on the path.